I stand up, I get up, I pay the moya shona kona. I shobuluza focus, come on, be a go-getter. I shona kona, stay focused. Opportunities, you gotta get this, you gotta fight that skills.
Come on, guys, no more photos, no more photos. Hey, get to say my name, hustlers. Macmillan Lishum. You see, you loyal, Buffett. Ispani, we the best. That's why we keep on holding you down. I think get to San Bonani and a salute to all my hustlers. Get to La Esan Samba Fete, Sipete in Dondo, 2015 SAFTA Awards for Best Youth Program. For making this possible, because this award is not mine, but it's here to song for all the youth that I'm This is for you, so thank you, Buffet. Ispani, we promise to guide you to your chosen careers, Buffet. Speaking about careers, Almanga, someone has to get Ukolani Suela, Insisona, Efuluna Ezake in Dodo, Kulumkaka Engine, Lapana, chemical engineering. Insiso 87 are extra hard. Jobaga inigas and 110% Buffet. Joba if you don't get a gulum kaka. It's a pants, it's cool, nice, going on. But hold up, I'm gonna let him finish. Ispani is the best show in the world. It's the best show in the world. Yeah. Name Olane Siwela, age 23, education metric exemption with distinctions. Tertiary qualification, degree super metallurgy, material science with metallurgical engineering.
Mina ngakhulela eTarauto ila ngaqala khona primary school, and then sasuke eTarauto sayohlala e2 and 3. Masuke 2 and 3 then saye eSwaneville ila ngaqala khona ukattenda high school, and then along the way ngahlangana nabo teacher aba right kakhulu, bangimotivate kakhulu ukuthi ngifunde ngizokwazi ukuqhubekisa imfundo zami ezingene eliphezulu kakhulu. Basinikeza nokudla sometimes esikolweni and masingana like imali yokukhera nento ezinjalo.
Kusukela ku grade 10 standard 8 yena bakafuna kwenza ama science. Mina bengithanda ukuthi ayenze i-accounting, ukuthi into mina bengiyithanda. Bengifuna ukuthi abe i-accountant. So wathi kimi mama i-accounting ngayenza kushuthi noma ngifike evarsity. Kodwa kwamanje mina into engifuna ukuyenza i-science. Ngiyakujabulela ukuthi uyenza into ethandwa uye hayi ethandwa yimi. Ukuthi bakazoba i-accountant and then ekugcineni kwelanga uya drop out akasafuna ukuba ile accountant.
Munyaka wami mangenza mina matric, isikolo sethu sathola 96% pass rate for ma matrics, and then mina ngangu number 1 kulawo ma matrics. I had 4 distinctions. Bengishaye i-maths lapha ngobu 93. I-physics ngithole 8 I think. Mr. Timi wang advise ukuthi ngenze i-chemical engineering e-university. So since benginama marks right vele ngafika lapha eVets ngayenza i-supermet, which is a double degree in chemistry with chemical engineering. So mina ngithanda kakhulu ukudila nama liquids, into ngathi ama liquids nama gas laphana, into engizofuna ukusebenza ngazo in future.
Mina no Xolani sahlangana osihlangana eVets. Yeah, we are studying at Vets University, and although senza ama degree courses ahlukile, kodwa sahlanganiswa ikarate, uthando lwekarate. So into eyenzeka ukuthi sasilaphana ejimini vele sesizoqala vele ukutrain. Ngabona nje mina insizwa nje engathi imkhudlwana nje ngomzimba, ngathi cha leya yiyo ke yani engifuna ukulwa nayo.
Xolani kuyingane ekhule nganayo baba, kodwa mina azange ngibone ukuthi kukhona kudingayo mhlambe usizo from kubaba ngokuthi bengilwa kakhulu, bengimsebenzela. Bengilwa ukuthi balala abadlile noma kuba kunzima ukuthi umsebenzi bengimsebenza akusumsebenzi obonemali. Umsebenzi nje ukuthi sifake ukudla nje endlini nokuthi ngikwazi ukubathengela izimpahla into ezinjalo. Kodwa ngiyathokoza ukuthi namhlanje ke kube ingane ephumelele and wazimisela kakhulu.
I'm a fighter. I'm a juggernaut. I'm an unstoppable force. I don't give up. I'm not a quitter. I'd like to think that I'm strong as well. When I look at the highlights of my life, I realize that people who grew up like me, they are the strongest people I can think of.
Uxolani ngasho ukuthi umuntu ojabulile. Wona he just has a good spirit in him. Ngoba uma unaye ngeke kusho ukuthi mhlambe uphuma efamilini enjeyana nanjeyana. Why? Because umuntu nje ofana nazo zonke izingane akathatha izinto ezizakalayo kuyena personally I include kuma social relationship wakhe.
So I'm a very motivated human being, and I'm quite focused as well. I want to have a purpose in life. Ukuba useful empilweni kumele usebenze kanzima. So into enza ukuthi ngisebenze kanzima most of the time is ngiyengaphila kanzima kakhulu empilweni lesikhathi ngisasemncane. Angifuni ukubuyela lapho, and angifuni ukuthi abantwana bami nabo sisibami abaseza abazakhula bakhule the way ngakhula ngakhona at some point in time. Esikolweni akukho mnandi. We don't just walk in a park at Wits and we pass and we get all these degrees. Sebenza kanzima for lezi zinto people. Asilala ebusuku amehla brown nje. Nawubona nani ukuthi kunzima. Siyafunda. Sifuna ukuthola ama degree nani. So kumele usebenze kanzima. Yeah, so I applied for work to the company called SAIL. It's an engineering consulting company, and most of their clients have problems with oil and gas. I'd like to work for this company during for my vacation work, so that I can gain experience. So ngifuna ukubona ukuthi basebenza njani nami ngikwazi ukuthi ngisebenzisane nabo mhlambe lapha in future. Sebenzisane sonke nje still solve ama problems nje akhona ku petroleum industry.
Ngale degree lakhe le chemical engineering ongathi angawuthola vele umsebenzi, kodwa ngiyazi nginethemba ukuthi ngamaveko work ke kulapho siyibonakalisa khona ukuthi ulwazi lwethu le course lunzulu noma
ngimupha ama blessings mina ngithi kukonke afuna ukukwenza empilweni yakhe makaqhubeke uNkulunkulu makampha amandla.
If you feel happiest at work and it feels like a vacation, kusho khona ukuthi usuke wenza into oyithandayo njengoxola nje lapha ke at the leading BEE project delivery consultant okwi SAIYL bafethu njengoba ke achithe ama holiday wakhe aloba ke afuna isikhundla nayo le nkampani ake simbone lapha ku interview njengoba ke asivulela amathuba into engayisho ukuthi it's not going to be a walk in the park nor a holiday.
Hi Zolani, how are you?
I'm very good, sir. How are you?
Good. I'm glad you made it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
I just want to know a little bit about, tell me a little about yourself. Just told a little bit, I know you're studying chemical engineering and you're currently a student. Could you just tell me a little bit about yourself to give me a bit of feel about what type of person you are and your background?
I'm from Musaking Extension 5. I'm from Ludirile Secondary School. That's in just around Krugersdorp. In my matric year, I managed to secure myself a couple of distinctions. I went to Wits for a super chem degree. So that is chemistry with chemical engineering. I've completed the first part of the degree, which is chemistry, and now I'm in my third year for chemical engineering.
So tell me about VAC work. Have you done a lot of VAC work in industry? I mean, throughout your study so far?
So far, I've not been to industry, but I have worked around campus. For example, I was working for VETS this past registration. I was helping students with registration.
Okay, good. Let me just tell you a bit about what we're trying to do here. So I'm part of a company called SAIL. We're project managers, engineering consultants. So what we do is we operate in the design industry. We consult to operating companies in the petrochemical, the oil industry, the mining industry, pretty much every single industry in South Africa. And what we've decided to do is, a lot of us, when we were in university, we found it was quite difficult to get vacation work. And as you know, you've got to do so much of vacation work to get your degree. So one of the things we looked at doing is certainly engaging with students and finding the right candidates who've got the right characteristics and the right attributes who can possibly go forward with us, once they graduate. So, that's really what we're looking for and what we're trying to do. Unfortunately, we get a lot of people who come through. So what we've decided to do is have some sort of an interview process where we give you some problem to solve, and you get a mentor, and we assess what you've done, and we decide if we're going to give you VAC work going forward.
So you're also going to check like my school records and stuff?
I think in our philosophy is if you passed, if you got your degree, we're not going to question you about technical things. We want to see, your physical attributes, your character traits, how you deal with clients, how you deal with problems.
I think I can fit in, and I feel like my goals are aligned with yours, in that I'm looking forward to working in the mineral processing industry. And since you guys are also involved in mining, I think that's a very good thing and a very good start for someone like me.
I've got someone in my team to sort of work with you today. Her name is Melissa Govender. She's a qualified chemical engineer. So she's going to be going through a problem with you. And then it's going to be a series of tasks which culminate in a presentation by yourself. So don't get too caught up with the task itself, but we really want to see how you react to this. Not so much, we're not testing your analytical or chemical engineering skills, so to speak.
I see.
She's going to give you some guidance about the specs and standards that we use. There's hundreds of specs and standards, but a lot of the time in life, you don't have a lot of time to go through things. So she's going to give you some stuff to go through. You go through that, and then there'll be some sort of calculations that you'll have to do.
I see.
Or analysis.
I see.
And in the end, we'll present and we'll just discuss it really.
Okay, I think I'm comfortable with it. So I'm just looking forward to doing the tasks. May I just find out how many tasks do we have?
There's going to be about 3 tasks.
3 of them. Okay, I don't think that's exhausting. So I'm looking forward to it, and let's see how it turns out.
Okay, great, Ronnie.
Thanks.
Mahaslase, ha se phoso ho bua ka di-hobbies tsa hao, empa ha ebe fela for bikinyana. Nka nako ya hao e ngata o bua ka career ya hao, hore na e bua eng for wena. Ke eng se wena o ka se tlisetsang mohiri wa hao. Xolane, seo ha a se etsa ka tshwanelo. Tell me about yourself. Ke potso e leng gore o ile ifumana ka nako tsohle. Sa pele, bua ka moo o leng teng. E ka ba sekolong kapa moo o sebetsang teng. Sa bobedi, bua ka di-skills le experience ya hao. Ene di lokela ho tsamaisana le mosebetsi. Sa boraro, bua ka moo o batlang ho ya teng. A na o ipona o le kae? Haholo ha o ka fumana mosebetsi ona. Ke tseo he kaofela tse mohiri wa hao a batlang ho di utlwa. Ha re kgutla, re fumana hore mosebetsi ona o ka ya kae ka ona le di-plan tsa hae Xolane.
ngithi singene endaweni bafethu kujabula abantu njengoba-ke Ispani sikhona laphana e-project delivery consultants bafethu i-SAIYL somebody hasa lethu-ke uXolani othi yena his future is the brightest njengoba-ke insizwa efuna ukuba yi-chemical engineer uthi yena-ke ushaya nge-petrochemical bafethu sector kodwa-ke kulumkhakha bafethu maningi-ke ama-sector atholakalayo thina funa ukwazi ukuthi amaphi amanye kithi ubuzelani the answer is not inside it's on top so asisheke i-sector overview.
Chemical engineering ingokuthatha izinto izenze umkhiqizo esiwusebenzisayo nsuku zonke empilweni zethu. Impahla esizigqokayo, iphuzo nokudla esikudlayo, ugesi esiwusebenzisayo, konke kwethembele ku-chemical engineering. Ama-chemical engineers yibona abasebenza ukwenza yonke le mikhiqizo, phinde basebenze ukunakisisa kahle imvelo yomhlaba, banakekele indawo esiphila kuyona, baqinisekise ukuthi ukuphepha nezempilo zime ngendlela eyiyona. Imisebenzi eminingi kulolu hlangothi iwela ey'gabeni ezimbili, i-design nomkhiqizo kanye nokusebenza kwemishina noma ukuthuthukiswa kwezinto ezintsha ezisetshenziswayo kulo msebenzi. Awukho umsebenzi wokuqala womuntu ofundele, kodwa-ke imisebenzi kogesi, amanzi, ukudla nemisebenzi yasemakhemist nawo yemisebenzi efanayo kulolu hlangothi. Amakhono anokufana afundiswayo emanyuvesi njengabo project management kanye nokuqondisisa kahle ukuhamba kwalowo mkhiqizo yikhona okwenza ukuthi abafundi badingeke kakhulu kulo msebenzi wezobunjiniyela. Futhi-ke akwethusi ukuthola umuntu ofundele i-chemical engineering ehlangothini ley'mali. Ngolwazi ungaqhubekela phambili wenze imisebenzi efana nabo project management, risk assessment noma-ke ukuconsulta. Kanti-ke abantu abaningi bona bayaye bakhetha ukusebenza ngokuqondana nemisebenzi efaka phakathi ezokuphepha kanye nokuhlolisisa kahle indawo esiphila kuyona. Ungakhohliswa-ke isihloko esithi chemical, i-maths kanye ne-physical science izona izifundo ezisemqoka. Ngakho uma ungumuntu ozithandela ukunakisisa kahle izinto kanye nokuxazulula inkinga, i-chemical engineering kungaba ngumsebenzi ongakulungela.
Di-chemical engineers ba na le tsebo e kenelletseng ka tsa chemistry, biochemistry, engineering le IT. Ba hirilwe ke di-company tse nyane le tse kgolo. Ba thibela tlhokahalo ya dijo le ho kula. Ba etsa seo ka go boloka naha ya rona, ho thibela pollution le di-acid tse tswang ko dipuleng.
Hustlers, if you're not getting up to go and get it, then that day is definitely going to waste bafethu. Kodwa umuntu ongawaste isikhathi uyena-ke uXolani njengoba abhekene ngqo-ke netask yakhe yokuqala kuyomele ahambe ayaxazulela iy'nkinga-ke mayelana namaphayiphi bafethu. Let's get analyzing and let's just go and get it.
My name is Melissa Govender. I studied chemical engineering at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. I graduated in 2008. I have been involved in the process design industry for the last 6 years. And I've worked for major design companies that are well known internationally. I've worked on a number of big projects for major clients in South Africa as well as internationally. I've also been to the US where I worked on a refinery. It was the Sonaref refinery, and we worked from one of the offices in the US there. I was involved in the design processes for the Penex unit. I also worked on various GTL projects overseas, and also for local clients here where we just worked on small optimization projects within South Africa in Sasolburg, Secunda, as well as in Durban, some of the major refineries there. That was my experience in the last 6 years. I've mainly involved in design. I haven't really worked that much in operations, but I have worked on site, helping the engineers to optimize their plant and work through design technical issues. Hi Zalani, welcome to Task 1. We have a client in the Middle East that owns and operates a very, very old process plant, and they have numerous operational issues on this plant at the moment. But one of the tasks that we have been faced with is looking at their downstream system. So they have their storage of their product, and they're pumping that product to tankers, and then that goes out of the plant. So we need to look at debottlenecking the downstream system and looking at how they can increase the capacity and pump out more product to the tankers. Are you familiar with a problem like this? Have you faced something like this?
Yeah, I think we did this in process engineering. We've done fluid dynamics.
Yes, that's it.
And I think we've seen it there, and it sounds very familiar.
Yes, looking at the hydraulics of the system. And
yes, of course.
Well, in industry, we follow certain standards and we design to certain codes and standards. And one of them is the API. And for piping systems, we usually use the API 14E, which I've printed out for you here.
All right.
So you can maybe first start reading through this API and look at what's going to help you to start debottlenecking the system and what solutions you can come up with.
Okay.
This is the fluid information. It's basically a mass balance with what fluid it is, the temperature, pressure, flow rates, and stream conditions. So you need to go through that standard and basically calculate, or first of all come up with ideas of how we can do this. And then in the second task, we can calculate, do the calculations.
Okay, that sounds okay. Chemical engineering is good for me because it uses mathematics, physical sciences. I mean, that's physics and chemistry. And I like to see what we learn in theory in physics and chemistry, including maths. I'd like to see it done in the real world. For example, when we design reactors, for example, I like seeing the maths at work and stuff like that. I had not seen the API system code before, and it's quite fascinating just how much you still don't know when you're at varsity. When you're still learning, you think you know stuff, but after seeing just that booklet, and I can think that there's many more of those, and we still have to see those. So what I took away from that is that you still need to learn a lot after varsity. The API system just made me realize that I know just a little bit of what's going on out there.
How are you doing here, Solani?
This is like real things. I'm seeing a lot of new equations.
Yes.
And a lot of new terms. And I think you have to like really be familiar with this stuff to follow it very nicely. Yes. Otherwise, some of the things are there, but we do very little in school. I think when I take a look at this, I can see that we need to learn a lot more. Well, maybe we can't, but
yes, it's very different when you come into industry and you're faced with a real life problem.
I see that.
I think he did really well. I mean, he looked at, he asked a lot of questions. He asked a lot of questions about heat transfer and he clearly knew a lot about fluid dynamics. He calculated the velocity of the pipeline. He did all his conversions, so I think he did very well.
Task 1 was very nice, but at the beginning, of course, you're still like on the edge. You still want to see what's going on, and there's this new thing that's in front of you that you have to read through. That thing was so huge. I wasn't sure I was gonna like read through all of it so effectively, I would say.
Mahaslase, sekolo se go neya theory, di-concept le bokgoni ba go ithuta. Ha se bothata ga e ka ba gona le seo o sa se tsebeng. Xolane o se tshelo seo empa a bua ka se a se tsebang. Focusa go dilo tse o di tsebang, o ithute go tloga moo. Kaofela ha rona re tlhoka di-skills tsa go rarolla mathata. E ka ba mathata a mosebetsing kapa a bophelong. Sa pele o lokela go nka nako e ngata o nahanisisa bothata o bo hlalosa. Sa bobedi e tla ka di-solutions tse fapaneng tse ka rarollang bothata boo. Go tloga moo e tla ka action le gore ana o ile go rarolla bothata boo jwang. Ha re gutla papatsong, Xolane o nka theory ya hae o isa ko practice. Mac le ena o tla le Ispani Q ya beke ena. Dula le rona.
Get out to get my facts on my hustlers. Chemical engineering is not only about chemicals and engineering. But right now, I want to see your brain chemical reactions. I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? Okay, I was trying my Dr. Evil laugh right there because our question is truly devious and it complicated. Maria's Melwenzen, hashtag Ispani with the capital Q. Social media to Xolane finds himself in a very complicated situation. Hashtag Ispani go Xolane. But right now it's hashtag move out of the way, Mac.
Okay, so Lani, welcome to task 2. For this task, basically, you're going to do some calculations. It's a very complex system, and there's a lot of things that we need to look at in order to solve this problem. But for the purpose of this task, I'm going to have you look at the downstream piping for the system and look at the velocities in the existing pipe with the existing flow rates. And then if we want to increase the capacity, I want you to then look at what pipe size you would go for in that case. Do you have any questions?
No, yes, just one, maybe two. Okay. Is it reasonable enough to assume that there's no heat transfer between where the fluid would flow in the discharge pipe? So I can just ignore the heat transfer calculations?
Yes, yeah, you can assume that there's no heat transfer in the discharge.
Because this is like outside.
It's going to be negligible. It's not going to be a big change. Okay. Yes. Any other questions?
Okay, no. In that case, then I'll call you when I need anything else.
Do you have all the information you need?
So far, I think I do. If I get stuck, I will know I need some more.
Okay, perfect. You can call me when you need some help.
Okay, thanks.
The field of chemical engineering is very vast. You can do a number of things. We can work in the design industry where we look at the design of new process plants or even upgrading of the existing plants where clients may want to increase the capacity or whatever it is, and we'll have to redesign the equipment, the layout of the equipment, as well as look at sizes and all of that. We can also be involved in operations, day-to-day, actually on-site, dealing with technical issues that come up in day-to-day operations, and chemical engineers are involved in that. Problem solving is a big one. Yeah, so it's quite vast. in South Africa, our manufacturing processes, especially with the refineries, are very old. And in terms of upgrading the facilities and upgrading the plants that we have currently, chemical engineers have a huge role in that. So especially now at the moment with complying with the new fuel specifications, like the biofuel specifications, as well as like the new Euro 5 specifications for clean fuels. Chemical engineers are going to be very involved in those activities for upgrading all our existing facilities to comply with those standards internationally. What makes a good chemical engineer is someone who is very analytical, who is able to problem solve, like be faced with an issue and come up with a solution easily. I think also to be able to communicate with people and other engineers, because you're not working independently, as some people may think. You are working in a team. So Zalani, you're going to take me through what you've done here?
With many other things being negligible, things like heat transfer and stuff like that, so this calculation becomes a basic one.
It's very simple, yes.
Yeah, so I calculated the velocity of the fluid at the discharge pipe to see if the system under current conditions, is it okay, or maybe should we change anything?
Okay.
So by doing that, I use this continuity equation to do that.
Yes.
So I've got all dimensions that I need and parameters, so I could get that.
So you calculated the area of the pipe, because I've given you the line size.
Of course.
And
then I went on. Until I found the velocity of the fluid leaving the discharge. Yes. I didn't calculate the area like individually. I just punched in the whole equation.
Yes, yeah.
The calculation was fairly easy. So, like calculating velocity when everything else was given is quite an easy task to do, because we had to like ignore many other factors so that we can for simplicity, because in real life problems get quite complex, they get quite complicated, and they're tedious and just confusing. So for this exercise, it was easy to calculate velocity. So I think I did very good there, because nothing was a problem really in task 2.
Di-calculations we ithuta tsona ko sekolong le tsela ya go nagana ka tsona. Ho go tshwara mosebetsi ona o hloka di-skills tse dingata. O lokela go bana le tsebo ya chemistry, ya physics le maths. O kgone go tlhalosa di-ideas tsa hao gore di utlwahale. Mahaslas ho bohlokwa gore o ikopanye le batho ba fapaneng ba leng ko lefapeng la hao. Ka ho o ba exposed to di-skills tse dingata. Ha re kgutla Xolani o tobana le task ya hae ya bofelo, Mac finally o tla le karabo ya Ispani Q.
I can see success in the distance, Bafethu, with our very persistent hustler who doesn't need any assistance. Yes, I was playing with words there. Thank you very much. But before somebody guessing hotline, which is our Twitter page, I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? It's gonna manage somebody so when I won't crack under the pressure, but I'll shy task AS to Hamba convince I'm a client and I'm meant to so let's get cracking, hustlers.
Okay. So there's a plant somewhere in the Middle East, and the plant is very old, and the guys there are experiencing some problems, of course. Things run out of quality in time and stuff. So now, since we're chemical engineers, it is our duty to see what's wrong with the plant and to see if we can do anything to improve the system or to maximize production and stuff like that. So now, the system is a very basic one for a chemical engineer. They've got a storage tank. This would be their storage tank. And this stores oil. And then this goes to a valve, which goes to a pump. Like these are symbols we just use in chemical engineering. If you're a chemical engineer, you would know what these are. And then this thing would go to a circuit, which we draw like this. And this is just to show that the flow is not allowed to go back. The flow is just flowing into one direction. And then we've got two more valves here. Like that. And the discharge. This is the discharge stream. So what the company is trying to do is maximize production. And so far, they have not been very successful with that. So they called into chemical engineers. So the first problem I would look at as a chemical engineer is, why is this thing inefficient?
The difference between presenting in varsity and in a workspace is that in varsity, usually you're dealing with problems that people have already solved and stuff. So you have most answers for most questions. And now in the real world, as you have to come up with solutions and you have to solve the things that may have not been solved before. So it could be quite challenging for someone to come up with the answers so that you can solve certain problems, because it puts more pressure on you if you have to find solutions and stuff for problems that are presented to you in the real world.
Maybe I just want to interrupt you in terms of what we're doing. In terms of the brief, what we're looking at is, how do we get more throughput from the system? So, in terms of that question, how do you see, what do you think that we could do to get more flow through the system?
I was still coming to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The most important aspect of being a chemical engineer is to ensure your design is safe. So safety is extremely important. In whatever solution you come up with, you have to consider safety, as well as economics. I mean, economics is important to the client, in that you don't come up with a solution that's extremely expensive and that they can never implement.
One other thing I've looked at in this system is I've checked if the system works correctly under current operations. Now since the company wants to maximize this, in fact increase the flow rate of the discharge, it would not be possible under these circumstances, according to my calculations. So what the company needs to do is to replace this pipe with a larger pipe, because now we're looking at the fluid flow, velocity, and the pressure drop.
Presentations are my favorite things, one of my favorite things to do. But today's presentation was quite average for me. Usually I give very good presentations. And I don't think this one was at the same level as the ones I gave when I'm at school, for example. I'm always over-prepared for my presentations at school. And this one was kind of fast. So I just had to solve a problem and start presenting on how you can do it. So when you have time to prepare for your presentation and stuff, your presentation is not going to be the same as the presentation you have just started. When you prepare for your presentations, they become better. Like you give the best presentations when you prepare for your presentations.
I think he did very well overall, but I think maybe he should also look at all the aspects. Like I had to maybe point out the pump to him that he forgot to discuss. Yeah, so yeah.
Are those drum rolls that I'm hearing? That could only mean one thing, but it's I can be cracked, made, told, and played. What am I? And the answer is a joke. So I guess the joke is on you. Some of your answers, Bafetu, really cracked me up, but some of you, Bafetu, were able to crack the question. So thumbs up to you. But right now is thumbs down, because you need to take a break and calm down. But must we emva okay, so when we ngabe uqola uyawuthola umsebenzi noma cha, and that is no joke.
Hi Zolani, how are you doing?
Very good.
Did you have a good day?
Of course, I'm enjoying myself.
Okay, great, man. Look, I just had a brief discussion with Melissa, and we've been talking about how the day went, and I must say I really appreciate you, spending time here and your presentation as well. I was really inspired by that.
Okay, thank you very much.
I just want to know what's your feedback in terms of how did you feel, and if you got any questions, or I'd like to.
Actually just got maybe one question. What I notice is that generally it is not very easy to find your first job. So I just want to find out from you, maybe if you share the same experience, if maybe you found it hard to find your first job. So I just want to find out a little bit about that, and maybe some advice, on how to do well and get like a good job for a start.
Okay, no, very, very valid question. I think it's very important as well because when I was studying over 10 years ago now, it was very difficult for me to get my first job. I went through the whole process, and I got my degree, and it was very difficult because I didn't have any experience. So one of the things what we're trying to achieve here is that we want to give students exposure and experience. So whether you work for us or not, you'll have something to build on going forward. I think, me personally, I graduated and the market wasn't so good. The economy wasn't doing so well at the time. And then unfortunately, I had to leave and work abroad for a few years. So I worked in the UK and I worked in Russia, and then I came back to South Africa. But by then I had a lot of experience. But I think one thing that people didn't tell me was, we hear about there's a shortage of engineers in the country, and we don't have skills in certain areas. But what that actually means is we don't have qualified people with the right experience levels in those specific sectors. So my advice to you is just because you've got a qualification doesn't mean the world is going to open up to you. So what you're doing now today is like absolutely perfect. Get as much exposure, do as much volunteer work in industry as you can. You mentioned the mining industry earlier. Now you've got a little bit of exposure to the oil industry. Try and get out there, try and get onto physical operating plants, and we'll see what we can do as well, going forward.
Nice. Thanks.
And I think for me, I think the whole day, I think it was really good having you here. A few things I'd like to just to share with you. I think the task that we gave you was designed to be a bit vague on purpose. We wanted to see what questions you ask, how you deal with the real situation. What you probably learned now is in the university is very theoretical. You learn about fundamentals. You learn about the building blocks, which is extremely important. But in industry, it's about application. And some of the specs and standards, that was just one of them. You know, they're very tailored to a specific industry, a specific application. But don't be intimidated, because as you work, you'll get more exposure onto that.
I see.
And what you did was excellent. I saw you just got in there and you started reading the stuff. If just a few tips going forward is just spend more time listening. Just understand, get more context, more background before you jump into problems. But you probably did. You did a lot. So all in all, look, I think we'll get back to you. Thanks a lot for your time. I really appreciate working with you.
Thank you.
And hopefully we can do more work together in the future.
Of course. Looking forward to it.
Great.
What's up, everyone? My day was too nice. I'd just like to thank SAY for the opportunity they gave me today. My day was too nice. On that note, presser, pusher, panda.
Well done, Kolani. O presentile argument entle from ya hustler ya nang le tsebo ya sekolo fela. Potso ya rona ya beke ena e tswa ko Jamie. A re yena ha ana experience ho hang. Ha a tsebo re o tla ngola eng ko CV ya hae. Jamie, ngola experience e o e fumaneng ho tswa ko di-internship, ko di-volunteering work. Le ha e ka ba sekile wa itshebetsa wena hore o etse tjhelete, ngola ka experience eo. O ske wa dumella hlokahalo ya formal experience e go thibele go applyela mosebetsi o batlang. Bua ka di-participation tse o di entseng, e ka ba ko di-sporting club, ha e ka ba di a tsamaelana. And fumana di-reference go batho ba ileng gore o sebedise le bona gore o di ngole ko CV ya hao. Ha e ka ba hona le ho sa o fumanang, hopola o checkela Facebook kapa website ya rona. Re romeleng tsa lona dipotso.
Now congratulate us. Now congratulate us. Sure bafethu siphinde futhi sibongeleke uXolani bafethu kade asizekele esihle osikhombisa ukuthi mawusebenza kanzima ayikho into engeke uzithole bafethu. Ngithi keep on working on yourself bafethu, even if you don't get paid for it. I promise you it will pay off at the end. Speaking of endings, ngidonsa zonke intambo sengiphuma kanje. Uyahlangana nathi ku bafethu our social networks sikhona and our website and also on YouTube bafethu. Sibhaleleni your congratulations wishes ni celebrate nathi bafethu. But until next week simphathele unyuhlelo bafethu. Ngithi press up push up panda and don't look down unless you're looking at an award bafethu. Look up and stay up. Thank you very much.